It's conventional wisdom that an educated society means a better, safer, more diverse population.
So as we look back over the past 10 years since the unrest of April 2001, it's important that we find out what's changed in education, specifically in the Cincinnati public school system.
I have family members that live in other states, and they're like, wow, you go to SCPA. Wow, that's a good school.
Jasmine Rogers didn't have to go to Cincinnati public schools. But she decided the School for Creative and Performing Arts was right for her. Not everyone thinks her decision was a good one.
And then I have others that are like, SCPA.
Any negative perceptions of Cincinnati public schools doesn't affect Jasmine and classmate Jamila Pettis. They've had a great experience.
I feel like, what more could I possibly, well, there's always room to learn more, but what more could I ask for, like, in CPS here?
But go back 10 years, and in 2001, the Cincinnati Public School District looked to be in trouble. It was what the state terms an academic emergency. That was a wake-up call for the school administration to change focus.
Well, it was about 10 years ago when we started to look at our large comprehensive high schools, where oftentimes students would just be a number, because if you've got 1,500, 2,000 students in a building, it is hard to get to know everyone.
The district took a page from schools like SCPA.
So I want to talk a little bit about what's happening in Libya,
which has a consistent success rate. It created what Ronan calls boutique high schools. Schools like Taft Information Technology High School, which has radically transformed itself from a failing school to one with a 95% graduation rate. Students were given Metro bus cards and the opportunity to pick the high school that suits them best. And it worked. The district climbed 4 rungs from academic emergency to effective.
It is the only one in the state of Ohio that is rated effective of the urban 8. You know, so there are things that we're doing much better than other districts. Having said that, you know, we still have a long way to go to make sure that we're lifting up our most vulnerable students.
10 years ago, only half of the students were graduating from high school. Now that number is more than 80%.
He was happy when his mother told him he could go back to school tomorrow.
At the elementary level, the board gave Superintendent Mary Ronan the flexibility to make drastic changes, and often they worked.
She turned them around, and she turned half of them around. She turned 8 of those schools around in the first year, and the other ones were well on their way. You know, so 16 schools of 50 schools is a lot of schools. So that is what lifted us up to the effective category.
And 10 years ago, the district embarked on a massive rebuild of its facilities. 50 school buildings have either been renovated or replaced with new, high-tech, safer buildings. Asu Roland is a senior at SCPA and is a product of the Cincinnati public school system. His mother also went to SCPA, but says the most expensive education in the world wouldn't make a difference without a parent's support.
I think it's all about being involved in your child's educational career, no matter where they go.
Something Cincinnati Public recognizes.
I think we got caught up in the thing where children don't need this. They need reading and writing and arithmetic. Well, no, children need to be developed wholly. One of the problems is that some of our children, particularly our most vulnerable children, come in not having that exposure, not having that kind of development, having much more limited vocabulary. So since we know that, there's no reason why we can't develop strategies that address that. And yes, they're poor. Yes, they may come from broken homes. Yes, all of those things. But the bottom line, we've always had children from broken homes. We've always had children who had those kinds of issues. We can recognize that, but we can't use it as an excuse not to educate children.
We want to hear your opinions.
Yes, we do. And you can join the conversation in our special section, WCPO.com/10 years later, on Twitter and Facebook, on our WCPO 10 Years Later page. Good work there.
Thoroughly enjoyed that.
Brought out a lot of information people ought to know.
I learned a lot in the process about Cincinnati Public. There's a lot of good stuff happening there.
Good.
Really.
We've all learned. We've all learned.
Go ahead.
You know what? I take a backseat to you. Carry on.
I was just saying, not so many good things happening in the weather today.
Well.